are very large. So we leave them up for about a month and then I have to take them down. So if you do share the links with friends or family, yeah, just let them know they're not going to stay up forever. And maybe at some point, someone who knows more about this stuff than me will tell me how to archive them a little bit better than that. But that's what's happening for now. I'm Christopher Luna. I founded Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic in 2004, and we have not missed a month despite fire and pandemic, and we don't plan to miss one. I think I have to walk that back a little bit. We missed one because of an ice storm, and we simply didn't want people to fall and crack their heads open. But that's the only one I can think of in
I remember that.
15 years. Yeah. And we rescheduled those people and everything was cool. I'd like to ask people this evening to be enthusiastic and to cheer and hoot and holler and applaud for your poets and then mute yourself when the next poet begins to read. But yeah, it's very strange for there to be complete silence after someone reads. So whatever you feel moved to do in terms of making noise, make plenty of noise in between. And we usually do a handful of poets before our featured reader. So about 5 or 6 people in, we'll be introducing Penelope, and then we'll have some more open mic readers after we hear from Penelope Scambly Schott. And we're very happy to have her here with us tonight.
I'm actually going to disappear for a minute and go get myself something to drink. I'll be right back. All
right, we'll see you soon. My co-host tonight is Morgan. You're going to hear from her as well. And I'd also like to encourage everybody to, if you have a book, if you have a project, if you have things, community activities that you're involved in that you want other people to know about, put that in the chat. In terms of making sure people see it, if you're on our list, I would suggest putting that in the chat either just before or just after you read so that people can sort of connect it to you. And then I usually save that. And so if you miss anything, I can get you the links later if you happen to miss a link or an email address or something like that. So I think that's it. I think that's all I can think of in terms of the nuts and bolts stuff. We are all ages and uncensored, LGBTQ plus friendly, pro-science and anti-fascist, and have been since day one and always will be.
Yay!
If anybody somehow accidentally made it in here having a problem with any of those things, all I have to say is sorry, we're not changing shit. We are, and we're proud of it, and it's been great. What else? Oh, I want to dedicate the reading tonight to Diane DePrima, who passed away recently and was a true revolutionary. And so I thought a good way to start things off would be to read 2 very quick revolutionary letters. They're both really short. So I'm going to read those to you now to get things going and get some poems in the air. And if you don't know who Diane DePrima is, then I can tell you more about her, and there are other people here who would be happy to tell you more about Diane. I'm trying to get it on my screen for myself so I can see it. Would other people like to see the poem that I'm going to read? Maybe I should do that. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Erin. Yeah, that sounds great. Screen share.
Okay, so I used this in a workshop recently, so you may see a glimpse of some of the prompts that went along with these. But so just these 2 on the top right, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. So, Revolutionary Letter number 4 by Diane DePrima. Left to themselves, people grow their hair. Left to themselves, they take off their shoes. Left to themselves, they make love, sleep easily, share blankets, dope, and children. They are not lazy or afraid. They plant seeds, they smile, they speak to one another. The word coming into its own. Touch of love on the brain, the ear. We return with the sea, the tides. We return as often as leaves, as numerous as grass, gentle, insistent. We remember the way our babes toddle barefoot through the cities of the universe. And this is number 12. This is killer. They're all great, though. They're killer. And there's a collection of them. I think it was the last gasp, but I can double check that if anyone wants to know where they collected the revolutionary letters. The vortex of creation is the vortex of destruction. The vortex of artistic creation is the vortex of self-destruction. The vortex of political creation is the vortex of flesh destruction. Flesh is in the fire, it curls and terribly warps. Fat is in the fire, it drips and sizzling sings. Bones are in the fire, they crack tellingly in subtle hieroglyphs of oracle. Charcoal singed the smell of your burning hair, for every revolutionary must at last will his own destruction. Rooted as he is in the past, he sets out to destroy. That's Diane DePrima for you. Welcome to those who just joined us. Welcome to Moira and Aaron. Thank you. One of the things that I did for the folks that were in my recent workshops was gathered a bunch of Diane DePrima related links. So if that's something that you're interested in, just send me an email and I can easily copy and paste those for you. Some of them are obituaries, but not all of them. A fair amount of them are just celebrations or places I found on the web where you can read a lot of her stuff all in one place, you know. So if that sounds interesting to you, get in touch with me. And for the open mic tonight, we're going to start things off with Bruce Hall, who happens to be here. And please welcome Bruce Hall.
Thank you. Chris has great classes, and he has another one tomorrow or Saturday. It's not tomorrow yet. So join it if you can. It's called The Works. This one I got a title on it now, The Gate Ranger. Gates that are open are left open. Gates that are shut are left shut. You can open and shut the gate as many times as you like while you're at the gate. Like no trace camping, no gate changing is the etiquette of the farm, the ranch, and enforced by the gate ranger here in the mountains. We'd better camp for the night next to this thicket of trees by this meadow with the gate at the far end. Gather around the fire. They say the greatest of the greatest gate rangers was last seen on the other side of the meadow. He parked right there at the edge of that canyon. He was going to check the gate that was near the bottom. Yes, that steep canyon, so steep and deep you can only guess how far down it goes. Not many have seen the gate down, way down there. They say he went over the edge, leaving only his moans on the breeze and shivers in the trees. He was never seen again. What the? Quiet, quiet. It was probably nothing. Hear the fire crack, crackle, pop. Scoot in close. Warm, warm. Wait, listen, listen, listen. Must be hearing things. That was our last log for the fire. No extra light after this. What was that? A broken branch. Did you hear that? Footsteps. It's the great gate ranger. Sounds like he's checking the gate at the far end of the meadow. Did you leave it as you found it? Or did you open and close it so many times you can't remember? Maybe you'd better sleep in the truck tonight. Hear that moan? Maybe we'll see you in the morning. Maybe.
Awesome, Bruce.
Yeah, that was awesome.
There wasn't too much, Bruce, was there?
Thank you, Bruce. Bruce is always so kind to mention the workshop, so I put the link in the chat if you'd like to join us on Saturday. That link also will tell you all the dates for that workshop for the rest of the year. We do 3 drop-ins per month, so thanks, Bruce, again for mentioning that. And next we're going to hear from MF McAuliffe, who is one of the people behind Gobshite Quarterly and Gobshite Press. Very happy to have her with us. Are you ready to read something to us? You just need to unmute yourself. You're looking for the icon that looks like a microphone. There you are.
Yes. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this again. I'm going to read one of the poems from 25 poems on the death of Ursula Le Guin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, good. This one is number 17. Your wake approaches as surely as your death did. Everyone will go. So many in Hubble Image t-shirts who you saved from their pain while they were reading, unpossessed, lonely and yearning. Saturday afternoons on the soft synthetic ethnic throw while the sun went down on the nothing outside. The harsh and shadowless road unshaping to red soil saltbush, nullarbor, mines, the inaudible, undeniable, underlying voice of industrial rock, machinery, banishment. Long dark dreams, climbing chalk cliffs by front teeth alone, mornings overhung with bewilderment, roses leaching out of their petals, the flesh of the sky scraped to sunset. A mining town built explicitly to prevent Krupp taking a lease in the 30s. Nothing grew that Europeans could eat, so many of them, except South Australian whiting, gar, butterfish, everything else freighted in, water 200 miles of pump and pipe 2'6" across, blast furnace, steelworks, shipyards, bucket of molten iron 3 stories high, the hills, molten steel, rolled steel, warships, orships became holes, and 2,000 English, Welsh and Scottish steelworkers dirging through the Mull of Kintyre. All their green places turned hematite and red. Helpless as rock blown to gravel, flywire screens, cement, weeds. One Saturday morning, looking at my feet as I walked to the newsagent, thinking how to construct a book, tiles passing under my feet. I looked up. Student a few feet away, the girl expelled for being pregnant. Trembling smile. I hadn't known her well. I became a small tower of embarrassment, fear, shame, guilt. I hadn't known, hadn't helped. You could negotiate your way out if you were related to the Sassoons, but only one of us ever was. What other way then but the soft ethnic throw and the extraterrestrial deep? How can anything but a hungry God build a cathedral? Driving north, rounding the Gulf at its tip, Augusta, a terrifying blot of despair, despite the new bridge, a shriek, vomitous to be in, guilt-making to escape from, spilling to and from the north, ochre, rust, blood, hinterland, history, half a continent of crime, hidden and intended and forgotten till that moment. Reservations for weapons research and for the dead and their descendants. Pale yellow grass, ears and stalks separate in the curling cold, saltwater flats leading down to saltwater. Low mountains folded like hills, dip and shadow, and the shadow leached and the dry, aching parch of the stretch between the land long and nothing but rib, crumbling soil lying on nothing but rib. 3 ghost guns by the side of the road, half an hour south, marking the Goida line, where reliable farming ended. But then through the window, the intimation, the volume of shadow and fold and age, the mass of the ranges, a comfort, a sound. One night, raiding cats, dogs, cattle, the Shell station at Crystal Brook, another car, big, and the bloke who ran the station, slight, limping overalls, hair dripping, drenched, hurrying to pump while the Americans, fat, imperious, smug, ordered air, oil, gas, and turned to order food from his wife inside. Moon-glinted eyes passing the semis, close-packed sheep and cattle. The lower lands only dull, shading down to saltwater most of the way. The fountain in the corner of the cafe in the BP station at Port Wakefield, fresh water. The mystery of fresh water flowing into itself, in and through. The only joy from there to the Aboriginal springs at Catherine. Further south, horizontal guns, Bitterwind, Saltwind, the main North Road, abattoirs, sale yards, tractors, combine harvesters, ploughs, Adelaide, the labyrinthine unhappiness of home. I never saw those northern gorges, God-sword sundered sun-red rock, cathedrals of water and silence. I never saw you in Melbourne, didn't know you were coming, never spoke to you, argued, talked, caught the view so clear it could comprehend continents, the current war, the history of logging, the fate of the California Indians reversed. Never came to inhabit your universe. You're awake. We have to go. You've been kind to our house, institution to institution. Though we have to be seen to have been there, though I couldn't bear not to be there, I'm still as far from you as I ever was on the main North Road, a speck in the dark.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Really nice.
Thank you so much. And I really want to encourage people to get this book, 25 Poems on the Death of Ursula K. Le Guin. It's a great book. You should check it out. And I neglected to say earlier, and this is for the people that have not been on Zoom before. You have two views that you can choose. There's a speaker view and a grid view. The grid view will show you everyone's face at once, and our faces will be rather small. If you do the speaker view, whoever is reading a poem at the moment will be, their face will be fill the screen. So that can help a lot during the poems. Thank you, MF McAuliffe, for reading that to us. And next we're going to hear from Julian Tripp-Weaver. Very happy to have her with us here tonight. Let's give her a hand.
Okay. I'm going to read one of my recent poems that's not published. I decided to go with Fires Burn Out Our Tomorrow. I'm grateful I got that final box of nectarines from Rama Farm this late summer, before the fire burned their buildings to the ground, swept through their orchard. The inner heat, those oh so sweet nectarines, warm me through a blistering year when we know all has changed. We will ourselves into this new world, climate in disarray, a world filled with disbelievers, a wild and free world where only the grounding of cherries, peaches, nectarines, melons, the countdown of fruits from the early wild salmon berries, raspberries, strawberries, then blueberries to buoy us. Fields swelter, taking our bounty, our tears alive with sorrow. Only summer's sweet fruit will save us, captured savor against winter's cold ice. We are an ungrateful tide, expressing disbelief against this earth's plenum, bountiful as a basket of luscious ripe strawberries, a variety that no longer exists. So many children burned in our fires of disbelief. They will never know that first taste, that burst and pop that makes us smile, what we remember that protects us from storms, that steals tomorrow's pleasures.
Woo. Thank you.
Yay. That was awesome.
Thank you so much, Julene. Now I'm gonna hand things over to Morgan to introduce a few of these folks to you.
Yeah, hi everybody. So happy to see your faces. Really great to check in with our ghost town community and near and far. And thank you, Julene, excuse me, that was beautiful. I'd like to share a poem that I wrote recently. It's just a short-ish stream of consciousness piece, and then I'll introduce our next reader and go from there. This is untitled, but actually the working title is I Held the Sun. I held the sun in my hand for a moment. He was so hot, it was quite potent. We are ever bound now, so goes the temperament. It's in the path we travel. I'm here to unravel a story of a passion so far from boring, more like a pot over boiling, a sun maybe blinding while never ceasing from the flooding of salt water from the pan. The drama we stand for, aside from the one it drums up, more mustard than gold, more mood than pure soul, more ghosts and more fools, as unconscious spells. Well, anyway, hell is just a state of mind, and so is heaven too. And just as the one sun guides us, we will carry her through. Thanks. Yes, and I highly recommend the work by Chris. I wrote a few really great pieces this last Monday, and I'm hoping to join again on Saturday. It's a really, really great way to connect in these times that are ongoing. And yeah, I'd love to introduce our next reader here. It's going to be Gary Anderson. Welcome, Gary.
Hello, 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 hello. You surprised me. So I'm going to read something I wrote years and years and years ago. My mother died of Alzheimer's, and this poem is about a visit to her, but I have an older brother, my next older brother, 5 years older than me, who is currently in hospice with Alzheimer's. So here we go. I guess I might be next. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. But it's a blessing when memories, bad memories, pack their bags, but not so when good memories decide to go with them. It's no vacation. They're not coming back. So this trilogy in 4 parts, 3 songs, 3 photographs, 3 places to look for a lost life. The playlist, all from Pink Floyd, The Wall, side 2. Nobody home. Comfortably numb. Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody in there? The photographs, a man and a woman, a young couple and a boy, a house on a lake. Who's this? Who's this? Where did you take this one? And again, as if new, who's this? Who's this? Where did you take this one? The visit. When there's nothing left to say, the silence unbearable, I ask, do you watch television? You answer, yes, there, and there, and there. It's okay to clap. We're doing okay.
Thank you so much for sharing, Gary. And, you know, poetry helps us get through many, many challenging life situations. And so thank you so much for showing up today and sharing that piece. And yeah, just continuing to show up for yourself as well.
Thank you.
Next on my list, I don't see Joanne Boswell, so I'm going to skip over unless Joanne is somewhere in the audience that I'm not seeing. But after that, Ian Caton. What's up, Ian? Yeah, you're up.
Ian! All right. Okay. This one's got kind of a longer title. So put you guys in gallery view so I could see everybody. It's called I Awoke from a Dream in which John Voight complained that there wasn't enough opportunity in America. It's dead, he said, as I rubbed the crust from my eyes. The American dream, like an abandoned building in Times Square, due for demolition. The two dudes squatting on the 5th floor, cooking their meals, stolen from immigrant grocers, not even seeing the irony, because desperation tends to sharpen your senses, he said, focusing on the religious relics she had in possession, an iron 9-inch nail, a sterling silver eagle figurine, just like those lead figures he would spend hours on, concentrating with those tiny paintbrushes. Do wood elves wear red? And we would go back and forth about its alignment, chaotic good, lawful evil, neutral evil. Evil happens, the absence of good, mankind's capabilities for pain, the way some people are attracted to those with power, like when dad would blow up again and mom would cover for him once more. It's all our fault. If only we weren't so loud. If only we didn't have so many questions. If only we would be silent when adults were talking. If only we had more room to pack the station wagon. He wasn't messing around when work had to be done.
Yeah.
Awesome, Ian. Thanks for sharing. So now I think I'm gonna, hand it on over to Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Morgan. Hey, Morgan, can we talk a little bit about what's happening behind you for just a second? Where are you at the moment?
I'm actually at my mom's house. I was hosting actually my first poetry workshop today over in Portland. And so I'm here. I couldn't make it back up north. So yeah, this is my nephew's room. And he's a huge Star Wars fan. So we've got bunk beds back here and Star Wars things.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, you would love it in here, actually. A few of you would really appreciate his toys. And he's got this really cool Star Wars Atari machine here too, which is really cool. He just got that for his eighth birthday, I believe. Anyway.
That's great. I want to live in that room, including the bunk bed. I think that's where I want to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
And above my head is where the Star Wars figures are at the moment. Yeah. I'm among them. Penelope Scambly Schott is really one of my favorite people and favorite poets in this area. She knows this. I'm not telling her anything she hasn't heard before. And she really, she honored me by asking me if we could collaborate. And we've been sort of batting, slowly but surely batting back and forth these poems about gender. And what's so kind of cool about that was Penelope's choice, that would be our subject matter. What's really cool about that is I really feel like I've learned so much about women and about women in relationship to men through Penelope's poetry. So I am gonna, read her bio before we introduce her, but I wanted to read one of the poems that I wrote in the collaboration. It's a poem called Be a Man. I often find myself contemplating socialization, especially since I became the father of a son, conjuring memories of being made to feel lesser during moments of sorrow or fear, humiliated for crying during movies or after losses on the field, screamed at for expressing hesitation or concern. Girls were a mystery, a problem to be solved or blamed, and later the constant source of all desire. Those with the power to withhold love, affection, sex, those who laughed, eroded confidence, or ignored me in favor of older guys, real assholes who rarely treated them right. I suffered with great melodrama, pining, masturbating, longing for a hand to hold, or a moment alone with whatever was hiding between the impossibly long stretch from knee to vulva, shadowed, hidden glory. We become what we are told we are allowed to be. I remember watching two nieces play with toy trucks, kicking the crap out of each other, aggressive as any boy. They have to be taught not to do that. Just as boys are taught that it is acceptable to dominate physically. We may also need to be taught gentleness, or how to assert ourselves, how to express fear, or articulate our wishes. Each new skill, a small step toward peaceful coexistence and away from malice and misunderstanding, a small step toward reclaiming the missing half of our personhood. That's for you, Penelope.
Well, I was very honored when you agreed to do this exchange.
And it's yeah, and I mean, it's been fun, and it's also been I mean, I think at least one of the poems I sent seriously freaked Penelope out, which is okay. Maybe we'll freak each other out before it's all done. But so much fun to have a poetic conversation, and especially with someone who I deeply respect as a writer. Yeah, I think we're both gonna probably learn a few things from each other and about each other through this process. So thank you, Penelope. And I just want to quickly let these people know some of the official stuff, but quickly. Penelope Scambly Schott is a past recipient of the Oregon Book Award for Poetry. She has published a novel and several books of poetry, most recently On Dufur Hill. Did I say it correctly that time?
You did.
All right. Poems about the cycle of a year in her small wheat-growing town of Dufur, Oregon. Every day, Penelope and her white goldendoodle Sophia climb Dufur Hill, where she adds another rock to her cairn. Sophia is also a co-host of the White Dog Poetry Salon, which Penelope and her husband host in Portland, and a co-author of the forthcoming chapbook, Sophia and Mr. Walter Whitman. Let's please give a warm Ghost Town Poetry welcome to Penelope Scambly Schott.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yay. Well, it's lovely to see you all. And I think I'll start. Let's see. I want to make sure you can see my book just for the heck of it. So speaker view. Let's see. Oh, it's not even working. View, speaker view. I'm speaking, but it's not doing speaker view. Anyway, this is, can you see it? It looks backwards, but it's called On Dufur Hill. Here's a picture. And if you like the poems, you can get it from Amazon or from me. I keep meaning to bring some to Broadway Books, but I've been hiding in Dufur where there is no COVID. I just found out a couple of days ago my grandson has COVID, so we're taking it pretty seriously. Anyhow, let's see. I still speaker view. Okay. Now I can see a bunch of you. That's good. The other view. Anyway, I want to invite you to Dufur, and I actually do teach an annual poetry workshop out here, which I had to cancel this year, very sadly. But just in case you ever want to come, I'll tell you all about Dufur. Our population is about 640. There's one school that goes preschool through 12th. The major crop here is wheat, and we are right east of the beginning of the Mount Hood forest. When I climb Dufur Hill, I can see Mount Hood, and I can also look east and see the rolling plains almost to Pendleton. So I feel like I'm in the center of the state. And I'll tell you a little story about Dufur. I lost a ring that my mother gave me on her deathbed, and I was pretty upset about it. And I posted on the Dufur website that I had lost my ring, and that maybe I had lost it on Dufur Hill. So anyway, various people looked for me. A couple little boys went out with a metal detector. Everybody I ran into in town said, "Have you found your ring?" Anyway, I did find it, in my refrigerator, of all stupid places. So I posted a notice saying that I was embarrassed but happy and that it was in my refrigerator. And then I added, "You think I ought to clean my refrigerator more often?" So that's what the town is like. Everybody now is delighted I found my ring. And in this Dufur book, I dedicated it to an old man who died a few years ago. He had been in World War II on a Pacific island, and I used to visit him on Fridays. I would go and hang with him and his wife, and we would drink wine. And every now and then he would say, "I'm going to tell you something I never told anybody." And he would tell me some horrible story about the war. He died. He's buried in the Dufur Cemetery. I actually have a gravesite right next to him, but don't hope to use it too soon. And this is the dedicatory poem. His name is Everett Marvel. For Everett Marvel. We buried him in high morning. Afternoon spilled vivid sunlight until the sun fell behind the hill. Twilight, full dark. I wanted to go back to the cemetery. Maybe, yes, I almost believed he might feel someone there. I could sleep on the new grave, just so he wouldn't be all alone through this first night.
Beautiful.
Okay, the next poem I timed, and it's 4 whole minutes, so I hope you can stand it. But it's instructions on driving to Dufur. And it's called Driving to Dufur. So you take I-84 east out of Portland, where it follows the wide Columbia out through the gorge to a landscape of waterfalls and steep basalt cliffs, past Cascade Locks, where the river carved through the mountains. And if it's raining anywhere, it's also raining here. If the road is icy anywhere, it's certainly icy here. And then you watch for the triangle of Wind Mountain and the high meadows of Dog Mountain. And you picture those expanses of yellow balsam root, broken only by orange paintbrush and lavender blue columbine. Until you remember it's still winter and still raining, both here and back in Portland, where it will go on raining until the 5th of July. So you keep driving east until the sky shows patches of blue. And by the time you have passed Hood River, the patches of blue get larger, and the hills on one side of the river have started drying out, and then on both sides. And when you pass that railroad tunnel right before Mosier, where you cross the line into Wasco County, you are grinning like a kid on the first morning of summer vacation. And by the time you get to the Dalles, the sky is entirely blue. And you catch yourself humming. And at exit 87, you turn south onto Route 197, heading up Auction Hill, where the road becomes 2 lanes briefly. But just as you were starting to speed, you remember the one time you got stopped by the sheriff and had to go to traffic school, where the instructor told you how to avoid the cops. So you slow down between cherry orchards and wheat fields to exactly 8 miles over the speed limit, passing the sign that says, "Leaving the National Scenic Area," where immediately after the sign, the hills get even more beautiful. as you pass 5 Mile and 8 Mile and the turnoff to Rice, a town which no longer exists. And you pass the turnoff to Boyd, which barely exists, until you see a square of trees ahead, which will be Dufur Cemetery, where you own a plot between 2 sets of friends, one couple buried and the other busily alive. And your plot has a full view of Mount Hood, even though when you finally reside there, you'll be under the ground. But you still like the view. So maybe you should put a bench there. But today you don't stop. And in less than a mile, you veer slightly right to come down into Dufur on Court Street, remembering to slow to 25 miles per hour as you pass the field of retired combines, resting like ancient beasts, and the ranger station. And then, if the new yellow caution sign is flashing because school is in session, you slow down to 20 until just before the school, but after the Grace Church, which looks like an old Western storefront, there's this little lavender house with a light green roof and a white screen door with curlicues. And the sign by the door reads, "Welcome." But you already know that you are so welcome, more welcome than you have ever felt in your whole long life. And you can forgive everyone who ever did you wrong, whether by ill will or accident, because you know that the chairs and the desk and the bed with the high headboard and its garland of raised and painted flowers, the coffee pot and your books, your grandmother's pedestal bowl, the bathtub asleep on its 4 clawed feet, and the white curtains tied back with ribbons are all just like you left them, just like you like them, just like the house has been calling for you. Here's the key, warm in your hand. So now you know how to get to my house.
Lovely.
Beautiful, Penelope. Thank you.
All right, we're moving toward winter. This one is called Snow Day. Snow fog holds surrounding hills in its pale gold glow. The infrequent crunch of tires over hardened icy ridges. The yellow herd of school buses asleep under white blankets. Tonight's Christmas concert, put off until tomorrow at 10 a.m. In a red hat with tassel and bells, a small girl jingles, slides, twirls. Ah, joy to the world, or at least on this fine morning, joy in Dufur. I am right next to the school, and one day I was looking out the window and I saw a girl who looked maybe junior high age, and she was kind of curled up miserably under a little juniper tree. So this is for her. For the schoolgirl hunched under a juniper bush. So I asked myself, how's a girl supposed to voice a would-be advice poem? Well, not exactly a girl, a quote, older woman. So let's try this version. Like, hey, honey bunch, listen up. Not my first rodeo. Been around that block. I do know diddly squat. Hell, I've slept with diddly squat. Or stop right there, as my dad used to say. Don't go being such a gosh darn fool. Because, hey, sweetie pie, I really do in this one close moment. I really do love you. You are the first crocus, the froglet on the lily pad, my baby's toes. And here's what I need to tell you. It's none of it real, and it won't last. So wear your reddest lipstick and tip a bit of Bombay gin into that tame vanilla milkshake. And oh, lambkins, remember to be kind.
Beautiful.
Great advice. I'm gonna take that advice.
The part about the gin.
Well, yeah, and the red lipstick.
So we had bad fires here 2 years ago. There were fires on 3 sides of Dufur. And it was right before harvest, and some of the farmers had to burn their crops to create a fire break. And it was pretty scary. The sky was red. I felt quite safe because I'm between the school and a church and the ranger station, and they weren't going to let that all burn down. But we had 300 or 400 firefighters camped on the school grounds to fight the fire. And I actually ended up in the school cafeteria helping to cook for some of those. Anyway, here's about one of the fires. Dance of the Fire Imps. One tiny fire imp leapt out from under Bucky's enormous combine. A single spark struck a ripe head of wheat. It charred the beard around the kernels. The spark skittered down the hollow stalk, laughing. The fire imp summoned all his friends. They hid under stubble until they flared in a red line between furrows. They somersaulted to the edge of the field. By the time Bucky noticed, it was too late. By then the imps were playing with the wind. They raced the length of Easton Canyon and scrambled up over Tie Ridge. They skimmed down through more wheat until they reached the cool Deschutes River. A fire imp can't swim, but watch how he flies. 37,000 burnt acres later, over parts of 2 counties, the fire imps are still dancing. From 3 canyons over, their music rises, orange and black in the sky. So I went out with my dog at night, and one of the young firefighters was hanging out by the curb smoking a cigarette. You wouldn't think a firefighter would want to do that. And this isn't really a poem, it's a conversation. Walking my dog late at night while several hundred firefighters are asleep at the school across the street, I meet a young man standing alone by the dumpster. "Hi there," I say to him in the yellow circle of streetlight. "Hi." "So you are one of the firefighters?" "Yeah." "Well, thank you so much for being here. Glad to help out. If you don't mind my asking, what made you decide to be a firefighter?" Here the young man leans down and pets my dog. "My mom wouldn't let me join the Marines." So that was that young man. And I'm going to read you one more. It's short, but it seems timely. News hour. Wind combing dry yellow flowers of the rabbit brush. The puppy's tag clinking as she dashes upslope. Sneakers knocking loose gravel down the path. A large flying insect clicking behind me. Why should I listen to the politicians? That's it. Thank you so much for being a good audience.
Thank you, Penelope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Penelope.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Great, Penelope.
Well, that's Dufur for you.
I want to know more about Dufur. I'm so happy to know how to get there, and I know what color your house is, and I know, yeah, this is great, and I can't wait to pick up a copy of that book. Thanks to Chris for putting a link there in the comments. Might be helpful to put another link here after we've been talking about red lipstick and Hitler in the chat room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's got directions, but there's the link there to buy Penelope's book and go pick up a copy. I can't wait to get into it. So thank you so much for being here, Penelope, and stay well. And
thank you all for having me. And
Yes.
I'm going to listen to a few more, and then my husband wants to be fed dinner.
Oh yeah, and we actually only have a few more readers tonight, so that's actually perfect. I'd love to introduce our next, and I also wanted to just add that I hope that your grandson gets well very soon, and that everything goes well. You know, and it doesn't.
Well, he's using the upstairs bathroom. My son and daughter-in-law are using the downstairs bathroom. They're bringing him food on a tray outside his room, and he's not allowed to pet the dog.
Okay, well, I hope all of that works out, and it sounds like you have a good system, so I hope everyone stays well there. And yes, I would love to introduce our next reader, and all the way from Eugene, Oregon here, we've got Scott Yeager.
Yay.
Hey, Scott.
Thank you, Morgan.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Christopher, Ian, Aaron, everybody else out there. It's good to see all your faces. It's been a couple months. I think September, I was rapidly packing up all my poetry notebooks and journals in case the place burned up. And last month, I was actually in Pennsylvania meeting my partners, friends, and family out there, taking one of those risky adventures in this day and age, but well worth it. I miss you guys too, Christopher. And I actually once passed through Dufur after spending some time camping east of Mount Hood. I didn't do too much in Dufur. I just passed through, and I love the area because I'm from Eastern Washington, and it reminds me of home and away.
Well, it probably didn't take you too long to pass through Dufur.
Right. Well, I slowed down, you know, to the 25 and maybe even the 20. But yeah, and I remember I stopped to get some firewood, and the guy who bought the wood for me said, "Dufur's a cool town, man. You should go check it out." You know. So anyway, I've got a poem to read. How to change. Try striking the cue ball. Find your Newtonian prediction unreliable. Try forcing yourself. Find the resistance only grows. Try more carrot, less stick. Find that we're not actually rabbits. Try the latest chemical compromise. Find this body is more than petri dish. Try talking about it. Find we're still saying the same things. Try reading about it. Find retention lacking. Try wishing it away. Find reality persistently stubborn. Or try this, an inward-looking process, a bit of personal alchemy, casting ripples magically in the pond of self-reflection. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Scott, bringing us right back to the center. And that was beautiful, beautiful piece. Our next reader is Aaron Lund, and I'm so happy you're here to share a poem with us, Aaron. You're up.
Hi.
If she's still here, hi.
Hi, I am here. I'm trying to see everybody. I write under the name Aaron Aurelia, and that's the name on the screen here.
Yes, sorry, excuse me, Aaron Aurelia.
I I'm glad to be here. There's a lot of faces here I haven't seen in a while. It's good to see them all. And one I saw not too long ago when I got to go to Morgan's art show, which was a fabulous night. And I was so glad to be there for you, and also grateful because I had a really interesting conversation with someone there I'd only met once before. And it gave me some spiritual insight that was really helpful. And then last night or 2 nights ago, I had a conversation with another open mic friend of mine from the Shanny's crew, and it gave me another piece of insight. And I wrote a poem, and I haven't written much during all this lockdown time, so I'm really grateful that something came. I started to hear words again. Excuse me. This is called Love the Wound. Love the wound beneath the skin, buried in caverns of calcium, deep in dark folds of bone. Love the wound that gapes as a fathomless chasm, retract the damage that rendered it so by leaving its debris in a field marked with a headstone. Love the wound that weeps like sweet water welling from rock as it trickles down dank cave walls, wailing and forlorn. Love the wound as it keens like wild wind, unwinding every blow endured by wrathful words from soulless men. Love the wound. Love the taste of sorrow it bears, like the remembered flavor of union pledged by resonance alone. Love the wound, how it breaks skin and bone, breaks the heart, breaks our masks till they fall apart, breaks tenacious flesh clinging to its frame beneath, housing seams of gold, treasure untold, the truth of a light we can only behold when the dressing disguising it is peeled away, thus removing our blinders that keep us from seeing. Love the wound for the gift it brings, for the incandescence its cracks will reveal. Love the wound and the pain of the tearing. Love the wound and the blood as it's flowing. Love the wound and the disease it is purging. Love the wound and the end it is making. Love the wound for the poison it is taking out of your soul, so that all the old forms may be utterly shaken. Because when they have fallen, we will know we are whole. Thank you.
Powerful piece, Erin. And I'm glad that you're getting great spiritual insight in order to write those powerful pieces. And that's, passing along that spiritual insight to others. So we appreciate you and we're glad that you're here.
Thank you, Morgan.
Yeah, and one of our final readers here for the evening, and then I'll pass things back over to Christopher, our good friend Igor Brezhnev. Igor, you are up. Welcome.
Igor.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see your faces. Thank you, Christopher and Morgan, for keeping this thing going. And thank you, Penelope. It was a wonderful reading. I'm going to read a short little piece that I wrote recently. I also wanted to mention, I got about 30 copies of my last collection left. So if you'd like to get a copy, I'll paste a link in the chat. America's a Dry Cookie and Other Love Stories. It's a kind of an interesting thing to sit with the book for a couple of years, and now it's down to one small tiny box. So this is a short little thing. It's titled, It is Cold in November. Before I bury my flesh under layers of blankets, I take inventory of the sky. Distant moon, one half left. A handful of city stars and a few tired planets above the horizon's bed. I don't know it yet, but you'll ask me, how does the sky look like today? I will say it is brittle and blue, bitter cold sharpened on blackbird's wings. I will say that I miss you. You will say that you miss me, maybe like the leaves miss the branch of the naked tree. Pocketfuls of shivers and lost cigarette smoke, these I won't tell you about just then. You will see a different sky. Fill your pockets with music. There will be less of the moon. Thanks, y'all.
Great.
Thank you so much, Igor. Beautiful piece.
Thank you, Igor. So let's help him empty that box. It's good stuff, you know, and pick one up. So I have been asked by my old and dear friend Eileen to pinch read for her, but I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself for a moment, Eileen. I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is, you know, is it okay with you if I share the screen so that they can see the poem while I read it?
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you. And thank you for reading this. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And then the other thing is, since I'll be reading it on your behalf, is there anything you want to say to them about the poem before they hear it?
This is the final poem of a series that I finally have proof, the last proof of it. A book called Pobrecitos. It's about the poor of the world, or those who we look at but don't often see very much or very thoroughly. So this is the last of that series, and trying to figure out how to put the book into the world during these days, and I'll get back to you on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks so much for reading it.
You're welcome.
It's a poem about a child's death from three people who are in the child's life: the child himself, his younger brother, and a social worker. So those are the three parts of the poem.
Okay, happy to read this for you. Here we go. And I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit, make it easier for people to see this as they're listening. Story of a child's death in 3 parts. 1, reporting from graveside, child's body found. This is AJ Freund reporting from graveside. You heard about me, a child missing last week. Just up and gone, said my dad. He 911 to the police, 911 to the police, told them he got home from a doctor's appointment to find an empty bed. His voice was calm, like a heavy instrument, iron-filled. Put me to bed. He made it sound like tuck-ins and prayers. Coming in the next morning to say hello, like he was going to make me waffles any minute. You should know, let me tell you, I was dead by then, for 5 days or more. I can only count to 5, so maybe more. Here's more, you should know, let me tell you. My mother said, bring back my baby, he's all I've got. She stood pregnant with my brother or sister in dog feces, urine, a house of broken out windows, and cut power. Here is more you should know. People were supposed to be watching for us. The neighbor called police about us being out in the car. I told her we were going for an adventure, but it was cold in the car, and my brother and me waited so long for the adventure my mom promised. People were supposed to be watching for us. The nurse knew about opiates when I was born, took me to a safe place, for a while anyway. I am cold here, so cold, colder than the night in the car, colder than the crib at the NICU, colder than the shower I had to take. There's nothing colder than the grave, and I have nothing more I can say. Please find the others before it's too late. 2, a question from AJ's little brother. Could you please tell me when my brother is coming back? I saw him at home before I went to bed the other night. Mommy told me to get in the bedroom and not come out. But I did. I came out to find AJ and he is not here. My mommy and daddy aren't here either. I miss the dog. The dog did not hurt anybody. A nice lady with some dolls, 4, like in our family, wanted to know if the dog plays rough with us. He don't. He just licks us a lot. I asked her if she had a doll like a dog, because she wanted me to play like what happened before she came. Before AJ was gone. The dog was here then. AJ takes real good care of me. He tells me when to be quiet. He tells me where to hide. Maybe AJ is hiding. I just want him to come home. Him and the dog. I miss them both and try not to cry and cry in my new house. I just want everything to be okay. I'm tired now. Can I just sleep? 3. The Department of Child and Family Services worker weighs in. Nobody knows what it is really like, not in this job. No one knows how often I sat in my car after a visit. Something wrong, you feel it, but what? It's a slippery slope. Enough to pull the kids? Where do they go? My gut isn't enough, and the drug test is dirty, but she is in rehab already. She knows how to dance, what to see, how contrite she needs to be. And the swollen belly, oh, the swollen belly. There will be another one, and what then? What then? Family reunification. Provide support. I know the buzz. Used to believe that line. Not anymore. Okay, it is the 28th, and I have 5 more cases to close out this month. Who can I just phone, visit next month instead? I think that's the end of the poem, correct? Yeah, thank you, Eileen.
Thanks so much for reading that, Chris. I appreciate you
it.
taking care of my baby.
You got it. You got it. And you know, and it was fun and it was great, and it reminds me to let all of you know, if you have folks who would like to participate and they don't quite feel ready to do that on camera, you've got a virtual room full of poets in love with the sound of their own voice who'd be happy to pinch read for them. So yeah, that's a way that they can still participate and be here with us, even if they are not even wanting to be on camera. So let them know, and also let your friends know that we need and want listeners. So people that want to hang, it's very much appreciated and necessary. Everyone's contributing energy, and everyone that's here tonight just listening is contributing to what's happening here with all of us. So I appreciate all of you very much. Thank you to Morgan for co-hosting and Penelope Scambly Schott for that wonderful featured reading. And I hope that all of you can be with us when we do this again on the second Thursday of December. Thank you so much for being here tonight for Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic. We're going to keep it going, and we really do look forward to the time when we can all gather in the same room and do this together again. Thanks so much, everybody. Had a really good time.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Penelope.
Chris,
Thank you, Penelope.
Chris and Morgan and Penelope. And
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
I want to get out to the poetry
Thanks,
workshop.
everyone.
Yeah, join us on Saturday for anyone who would like to write. I'd love to attend this Saturday as well. So
what time does it start?
Okay. I'll put you down. We start at 11:30 and we go until about 2. In that amount of time, we'll do about 3 writing exercises. We start with the writing exercises, and then we spend the last hour together sharing some of the drafts and people, giving and receiving feedback on the drafts from the exercises. So yeah, that'll be 11:30 to 2 on Saturday the 14th. All you have to do if you want to be there is just send me an email to let me know that you want the link. Yeah.
I
Thanks.
did a workshop with you in Kirkland, and it was really fun when you came.
Thank you, Julian.
That other man, what was his name? Matt maybe? It was really
Yeah, Matthew Eifert Schroeder, and yeah, he's one of the people we published under Printed Matter Vancouver, and he's still up there in Bellingham, and I understand, writing his ass off up there.
good.
Yeah, he's a good one. All right, everybody. Hope you have a great night, and in a day or so, you'll get an email from me with the link for the recording. In case you want to pass that on to anybody, just let them know it'll be up for about a month, and then I'll have to take down maybe for the next one. Okay.
Right.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love you
Julie,
all.
let's talk soon.
Yeah, let's do that. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye. Thank you. I hope you sell the rest of the books in that box.
Thanks.
Thank you, Penelope. You were great.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. Since
Yeah.
all the real readings I was going to do have been canceled, this was fun.
Yeah, it's tough. And I hope it was your grandson, right? I hope that he is on the mend soon and that it's, doesn't
Yeah.
get too serious over there,
No, well, he's young and healthy, so.
Yeah. I'm glad you're doing the right thing, quarantining and all that. So that hopefully that'll be enough,
All right. Good night, everybody.
Right. Maybe take care.